And it looks like we've made it, although it doesn't feel like it at the moment, does it? It's still incredibly cold, -7.6 in my greenhouse. Now, you're probably looking at your plants and feeling very worried because the foliage by now would have completely collapsed. However, if you look at the colour of the foliage, actually let me show you. Just lifting up the fleece so you can see the foliage on the ranunculus has completely collapsed due to the lack of water and also the sweet peas. However, one very important thing is, can you see the foliage is emerald green, which means we have not suffered any cold shock whatsoever. That's where the foliage turns yellow or even white with the sudden temperature change. None of that, it's still emerald green, and we've got no burn marks from frost, no splodges on the leaves. You get brown nasty marks on ranunculus if they've been burnt by the frost. We've got none of that, so we just need to literally wait for them to thaw out. The water will then start flowing through the cells in the plants. They will start to then lift up and recover very quickly. You see that just about everything in your greenhouse now is drooping due to the lack of water because it's been cold, freezing cold for such a long time. So even those really cold hardy plants which thrive in these kind of conditions, such as the sweet rocket, the larkspur, the orleia, even they will be lacking water in their leaves. But the good news is I can't see any signs of cold shock, and that's where the leaves are actually damaged by the cold. They start to turn a custardy yellow, and in really serious cases they will turn white with the shock of the sudden temperature change. We've got none of that. They're all emerald green, and there are no burn marks where the frost has touched the foliage. If you haven't been following for a long time and you're not sure what cold shock is, I'm going to put a picture on the screen for you now, and there are also videos on my website dedicated to cold shock. We tend to see that around the springtime when we start planting things out and suddenly we get a late frost and the plants are plunged into temperatures when they weren't expecting it. This way round, the plants have been gently lowered into these very cold temperatures, and Mother Nature is going to do us a big favour and raise us slowly back out of it. So there isn't much we personally need to do. Forecast, I'm not going to do anything today because it's still incredibly cold and the compost is frozen solid. But the temperatures will start rising tomorrow, and then the following 2 days after that, we actually look like we're getting into double digits. So the thaw will be rapid. I'm not sure how much water is in the compost because it's all frozen. You can't really tell at the minute. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on my plants and making sure that I top up the water in the trays if they need it, so they can get a full and complete recovery from this very, very cold spell. I've got some examples just so I can show you. So this is the sweet rocket, can you see? It's just got no water in the cells, but the plants are absolutely fine. So as soon as it thaws out, the water will fill the cells and they'll become firm again. Same with the larkspur, it's just looking a little bit bendy. It's not as bad because it doesn't have an awful lot of water in it in the first place, but they're starting to lean slightly just because they're not turgid with water flow. But again, they'll completely recover. Compare that to these centipelargoniums. Now they're fine because we took the cuttings in the summer, so they have got rootstock to regrow underneath the soil surface. But if you'd taken cuttings, they would be toast by now. This is proper damage to the foliage, and this will not recover. You can see the burn marks on the leaves, and the colour of the foliage has completely changed. Here we've got some Cerinthe or Cerinthe. And again, this is just lack of water. And the yellowing of these leaves, these are the cotyledons, these are the seed leaves, so they are going to drop off anyway. So this is not damage. These are seed leaves which were on their way to dropping off before the cold spell happened. And this is just lack of water. So the best thing to do is, while they're delicate like this, is not to mess around with them too much. Here's a quick look at my thermometer. So -7.5, but at the moment it's 6 degrees. Positively balmy. And here's your Fahrenheit.